You are going to enjoy a really wonderful learning session today with Suzanne Roynon from Hertfordshire in England. Suzanne joined us on a session on decluttering, very important in the whole world of real estate to clear out property. No matter what the reason is, whether you're moving, whether you're renovating, whether you have to get a big cube in the backyard and fill it up with furniture. So the important thing is to actually have good energy in your home for your quality of life. And that's what Suzanne talks about today in terms of Feng Shui. So enjoy. I hope you love it. Comment. Thank you. Write us a review, subscribe, the usual treatment of a podcast. Thank you all. Welcome to Real Estate Connections podcast. This is our second interview with Suzanne Roynon, and she is with us all the way from Hertfordshire, England. And you'll know it soon, as soon as she starts speaking. Suzanne is an internationally recognized expert on interior therapies. And you're saying, what is that? Well, we're going to find out a little bit more. We found out more with the first episode, and I urge you to go back and look at the episode on decluttering. It got lots of attention, Suzanne, lots of fun and
I'm
lots of
glad.
comments. And so it was really wonderful. So Suzanne is the author of Welcome Home. And she's going to talk to us about the importance of energy in a home, particularly with reference to an ancient Chinese practice called Feng Shui. So welcome, Susan. How are you doing today?
I am very well, Mary. It's a pleasure to be back again. Thank
Hey.
you. And it's so good to know that people enjoyed the previous episode we did.
They did. They really, really did. And um, everybody was so anxious to hear, oh, how do I declutter? And, we all want to get out of the winter doldrums right now. And
Yeah, for sure.
spring is
Well,
pretending to come.
as I said the last time, if you want some motivation, I do these inspiration calls, which last half an hour. They
Oh,
cost about the equivalent of $12, I think, depending on where your exchange rate is right now. And you get my undivided attention, and I will tell you what's slowing things down for you, what you can do immediately to improve the flow of energy in your home. So
wonderful.
yeah, it's a lovely thing to do, and it's just really connects, and there's no commitment. It's just something that I enjoy doing because I know it makes a difference.
Oh, I bet it does. I bet it does. And I have an interest in feng shui, and I can't remember why or when, but we moved into a town called Vienna, Virginia. And I think your daughter was not far from there when she was in
Yeah, she
Virginia.
was in Arlington for a few
Arlington,
years.
that's right,
Mhm.
Arlington. And for some reason, we got to implement some principles of feng shui in that house, and it made so much sense.
Mm.
So rather than me keep talking, let's hear let's hear about how you introduce people to feng shui and the importance of feng shui in our homes and
Wow.
businesses, really.
So what we've talked about is giving you some very, very simple feng shui advice. And, lots of people start off talking about feng shui by saying where it came from and why. And actually, what people want to know is what is feng shui going to do to me for me? How can it make my life better? So let's save 10 minutes of guff
Okay,
and
good.
just go straight into the fact that every home is unique. Every home will have different energy. And sometimes that energy is very supportive of the people living there, but other times it really, really isn't. And we work in feng shui. I study and sort out my clients with flying stars, which is one of the feng shui traditional methods. So there are 4 kinds of house type in feng shui. There's a house that's good for people and good for money. So if you're watching this now, what I want you to do is just listen into these descriptions and see if you can fine tune what kind of house you're living in from these descriptions. So a house that's good for people and good for money. This is going to be a very lucky house. You're going to do well financially. Your relationships, your health, your well-being are all going to be on a pretty even keel. This is the lucky house to live in. Things just go right. And you don't know why that happens, but there are a lot of people around who are very envious of the fact that everything seems to go well for you. So that's the first house type. And another house type is good for people, but it's bad for money. Now, in this house, you'll be healthy. You'll probably have a very happy family. It'll be the sort of life and soul of the place, but there will never, ever be enough money at the end of the month. And it doesn't matter if you win the lottery or you have this really high paying job that gives you a huge bonus. You'll find that your expenditure goes up to take into account that bonus almost to the penny, almost to the dime of what you receive will go out in repairs to the car, a new washing machine, something goes wrong, something like that. So that's a bad for money house. Then there's a house that's bad for people, but it's good for money. Now, this is where you'll get the high net worth divorces because relationships struggle, health struggles. This is where the kids act up. The partnership is rocky. It's a very challenging house to live in. It's one thing after another goes wrong for the people. It might be silly things like, you go for a run and trip over a curb, or you fall off your bike. But just these niggles, or it can be much, much more serious, much more significant. So that's the bad for people energy. But the fact that it's good for money means that there's always enough money to pay for the therapist or the divorce lawyer or the hospital treatment, whatever you need. The last house type, which is the most challenging to live with, and I have very personal experience of this, is a house that is bad for both people and money. So you've got all the bad stuff going on with health and relationships, for example, but then there's never enough money to deal with it when it does happen. So the great thing about Feng Shui is it balances out the negativity and it boosts the positive stuff. So although the apartment that I live in right now is bad for people and money, I do very nicely here. Thank you very much, because I've balanced it out. But my neighbours don't have the same experience. So my neighbours in homes that have not been renovated are really quite struggling now. So it's just, that's the overview of those house types. Now, we've all heard, and people who've heard of Feng Shui have heard, there's a relationship area, and there's the wealth area, and there's the health area. And those are the three places that most people want to know about. And especially when you get to 60, I'm going to be 60 in a couple of weeks.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. The whole midlife thing, you start to really, really focus on your health, don't you? Things don't go quite as planned necessarily. So what we want to be doing is thinking about, right, where's the health area? That is the center of your home. So if you look from the front to the back of your home and side to side, the very center of your home is what we call the health area. And this takes care of your physical, emotional, and mental health. So if you've got a lot of rubbish there, it's where you keep the trash, or you've got storage cupboards full of broken things, that's going to be having an impact on your health. You're going to be feeling it. So if you're struggling, if anybody in your home is struggling with their health, their well-being, emotionally, and let's face it, it's quite a stressful time for us all right now.
Yes.
Then go and have a look in the center of your home and see what's going on there. And if there's anything that you can declutter, if you've got trash there, empty those trash bins each day. Sometimes there's nowhere else to keep the trash. It might be the only place to keep the laundry in a smaller house. Just don't let it build up so you've got a pile of dirty laundry there. Wash it, and empty the bins. Get rid of the detritus, the clutter, the mess. If you've got plants there that are sick, sort them out. Take off the dead leaves or get rid of the whole plant. Don't have dried flowers there. Look for cobwebs. These are all signs that your health is going to be impacted in the center of your home. Now, The next area that people want to know about is their wealth area. So the wealth area sits in the southeast of the home. How are we going to find that?
Hmm.
We've all got a smartphone, haven't
We
we?
do. We do.
So on every smartphone, there
Hmm.
is a compass app. It will look a little bit like that.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yes.
So again, stand in the center of your home, take out your compass app, and look to see where the southeast is pointing on your compass. Mine's
Okay.
over there, luckily. So once you know which direction your southeast is, I want you to go and take a look there. What have you got? Is this the place that you keep broken stuff, old piles of magazines that you're never going to get around to reading? Or is it the place where you keep details of your investments?
Mm.
Uh, is it where you might have your safe or other elements of your life that represent wealth to you? Because it's not just about wealth, it's about blessings. It's about the things we have to be grateful for. It's about abundance. And
Prosperity.
abundance, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
prosperity.
Prosperity. Yes.
Abundance comes in all kinds of ways. So, for me, abundance might be having enough money that I can jump on a flight to the States and see my daughter whenever I
Hmm.
like.
Hmm.
For somebody else, it might be having a garden full of fresh flowers. That means that throughout the year, they can fill their home with beautiful fresh flowers.
Beautiful.
Abundance means different things to different people.
Hmm.
But if we just highlight that southeast area for wealth, and we go and we think about, right, what is here? Is this representing wealth to me? Or have I got scuffs on the paintwork, maybe some torn wallpaper? Has the cat chewed up the rug in that corner? All of which is saying, it's a bit tatty, it's a bit unloved.
Hmm.
What can we do? Because that's if we're showing that our home that we don't care, then the you're not going to get the same results, essentially. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and it makes me think about all the nail salons I've gone into where there's been a little altar,
Mhm.
with the incense or maybe some fresh flowers or some food and maybe a Buddha or something like that,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
religious symbol, and lit every day. So if the southeast area has a representation of prosperity as well,
Yeah,
that would do. Yes.
exactly. I mean, I keep a money pot in my southeast.
What is a money pot?
So it's a pot of money. It's a beautiful pot and it's filled with loose change. I sit there on a round mirror and there's so much loose change in it that it's overflowed onto the mirror, and the mirror is symbolically doubling what's in that pot. You see. So I always say to people, start small, start with a sort of votive candle size
Mhm,
thing. And when
mhm.
you've got enough change to overflow that, then go to the next pot up and the next pot up.
I love
I've
it.
got, there are 3 pots over there right now.
And I hope that it's representative of your what's happening in your life today as well.
Well, it is. And that's
Yes.
a wonderful thing. So even in this apartment, which is legendarily bad for money,
Mhm.
you know, the money is overflowing. Touch wood, that's very nice. Thank you very much. That is the joy of having a feng shui home.
Mm.
It's those little things that take it from, bumping along the bottom and hoping for the best to, okay, all's good. This is great.
Wonderful.
Now, another area of the home that many, many people are interested in now. So these are sometimes younger people, sometimes our age. It's about relationships, the relationship area in your southwest.
Mm.
Now, this relationship area isn't just about the significant other in your life, if you have one. It's about your relationship with yourself. And if you are open and interested in developing a relationship with somebody new, perhaps you've been widowed or divorced, a relationship has ended, whatever, if you are open to developing a new relationship, there are things we can do. If you are in a relationship, there are things that we can do to boost and enhance that relationship should it need it.
Mhm.
And there are all kinds of ways that we can do this.
So, Suzanne and I were just talking about the relationship area in the house of being in the southwest of the home. And we had to reach out to the husband unit who's upstairs, who's our sound engineer, as we lost sound. So there was a perfect segue, Suzanne, to talk about relationships because
It
he's my
was.
significant, yes.
Yeah, because what he did was he came in and he absolutely rescued the situation, wasn't he?
Saved the day.
It's beautiful. Right.
Yes.
So let's just go back to thinking about what you might put in the Southwest
Mhm.
if you want to just reinforce every part of your relationship. And it doesn't matter whether it's beautifully happy or it's a bit sticky and you want to keep it. So the only photos you would ever keep in your Southwest are pictures of you with your significant other. This
Oh.
is not the place for family photos, nothing of the mother in law, not the kids, not the grandchildren. The Southwest is about you and your significant other
Mhm.
and no one else. Now, if you have ended a relationship, what you definitely want to do is remove those photos of you with your significant other. If it's ended under, difficult situations, a
Mhm.
divorce or a separation, whatever.
Mhm.
If
What
you've
about
been
a
widowed,
widow? What about
yeah,
death? Death?
exactly. If you have been widowed
Mhm.
and like my mom, you're very comfortable being, you're not looking for anything new, then
Mhm.
absolutely keep those photos of your beloved there in the Southwest because it doesn't matter that they're no longer with us here on earth. They're still there in our hearts and they're still the significant other,
Mhm.
even if they've passed on.
Mhm. Excellent.
But so if you are interested in beginning a new relationship, now this is something quite interesting to play with, I think. Um, what you would do is you would find a picture or an image that represents the kind of relationship that you want for yourself.
Mm.
Now, if you've been divorced, like I was divorced, I probably wouldn't want to reignite something along those same lines. My thinking is that didn't work out for me. Let's do something better. And so I'm thinking, well, what do I want in a relationship? And then I might, for example, I like going for lovely long walks in the forest. So having a picture of two people going for a walk in the forest, and it can just be figurative. You don't need faces or that, there's this, tall chap with dark hair and glasses or whatever. Just a figurative picture of a couple of whatever description your ideal couple is
Mhm.
walking towards you in a forest. That's what would work for me. Other people, it might be a beach, might be hang gliding or train spotting. There are people who love to train spot still. So, find something that represents the relationship that you want. But remember that first and foremost, that Southwest is about the relationship with yourself.
Ah,
So, again, let's be looking at all of the things that are there. Have we got single items? We talked about single items last time round, didn't we? And the
yes.
impact of having one of something around the place, because that reinforces your solitude, your single status, if you like. So if
Hmm.
you want to bring somebody new into your life, let's have things in two. But that's also about balance. We want a balanced life. So don't buy things in ones, buy things in twos. If you're buying a new mug, for example, buy two that match. If you're buying a lamp, buy two cushions, two throws, and bring that energy of balance into your life. And that's really quite a powerful thing in Feng Shui. Even if you don't want to be in a new relationship, if you're living alone, perfectly content, but still have that balance.
It
And
makes
that's
sense because you want
really
relationships, right? And they
mhm.
may not be, romantic relationships or intense relationships, but we are human. We want to
We're
be
human.
connected with others.
Connection. So,
Mhm.
so, so important. And, you can book a session with me and we can go through all of the other areas. If
Mhm.
we get time, Mary, I will run through each of the other areas of the house and what they stand for.
Present.
So that if there's a particular thing that you are concerned about, whether it might be a career move or a family issue, I can point you in the right direction. But one of the things that I've become very, very aware of over the years is that in a feng shui home, when bad stuff happens, and it happens to all of us, there will always be hiccups in life. But as an example, I have a client who has been with me for, I think this must be her sixth house she's living in now.
Mhm.
And her life has just got better and better. It's been like an upward graph all the
Mhm.
way. She's moved into this lovely, lovely property last year. And a week last Sunday, she had a stroke,
Mm.
totally out of the blue. Now, this person is so fit. She walks 10 kilometers a day. She eats a very, very healthy diet. She's very, very slim. So, none of those obvious markers for a stroke. But out of the blue, when she woke up on Sunday morning, she had a blood clot on her brain. And it wasn't
Mm.
a TIA, it wasn't a
Mhm.
mini stroke. This
Mm.
is the full on, stonking, great big blood clot
Oh,
in the
yeah.
brain. Well, fortunately, she got on the call, she got to the ambulance, they got her into hospital in time, and they gave her the drugs that she needed. Now, she came home 2 days after her stroke.
Wow.
And although she's tired, obviously you're a little bit tired and she needs to rebuild gradually, the shock of having the stroke has had much more of an impact than the stroke itself. And
Limitations? Physical
yeah,
limitations?
no, nothing at all. Nothing
Wow.
at all. She's not allowed to drive, which is very frustrating for her. But
Normal.
she lives on the second floor. She's running up and down those stairs. She's working pretty much full days again. Less than a
Wow.
week after a stroke, her home is absolutely supporting her to through her recovery into her work. And she said that when she came home from hospital, just walking through the door of that space and knowing that it was wrapping its arms around her and giving her the nurturing and nourishment that she needed to heal was massive for her. And she's
Fascinating.
absolutely convinced that the reason she's doing so well is that her home is feng shui. I'm going to agree with her on that because what I have seen is people who've used that, if they've had feng shui in their homes and then for whatever reason they've forgotten or somebody said, oh, don't bother with it. And before you know it, their life is just gradually falling apart in different ways. And
Suzanne, can you tell us about, you know, the principle? What is the principle? I mean, we obviously it's the practice that has been studied in China.
Mhm.
Um, and so you're implementing this practice for people. You're helping people implement it, not really worrying about the why, but you're convinced that it works because
Yes.
you've had
Yeah.
20 years of experience in this
A
area.
lot more than that.
Is color an impact or a
Yeah, color
component?
can have an impact. So
Hmm.
I'll always, always recommend that you avoid strong colors in
Like
a
this
house.
purple.
Yeah, that looks great on you, but you wouldn't want it on the wall. Um,
Oh,
so let me
oh,
tell you why. Each With feng shui, we work with the elements. We work with fire, water, earth, metal, and it's just gone out of my head. Wood
wood.
is sitting here in front of me. Wood.
Mhm. Wood.
And each of those elements has colors which relate to it. Now, that purple that you're wearing is a very water energy color. Now, that's absolutely perfect. It makes you look very, very glamorous. But if you were to
Ah,
put it on a wall, and you were living with it all of the time, you would find that you get peaks and troughs of emotion. So I call it the tears and tantrums color, the blues, blacks, dark grays, purples, those very, very strong colors in that watery range.
Mm,
And this is where you get kids who paint their bedrooms purple or black. And we have the whole, emotional roller coaster that goes
yes.
with kids who do that.
Mhm.
What you tend to find, and if I'm working with a family where somebody has gone off the rails a little bit, the first thing I'll do is say, paint their bedroom a very light, earthy color because it gives them stability. So the color I see behind you on the wall, that
Mhm.
kind of almost a mocha, but not quite,
Mhm.
is a very stabilizing color. It's
Mhm.
very calming. So you feel protected, secure. So that's an earth color. So if we want to feel um, just protected in our home, we go for those earthy colors. Now, if we go with too much in the way of fire, so those are the reds, the oranges, this would be a fire color.
Mhm.
Um, you can find that first of all, it gives you lots of wonderful energy, but if you've got too much of it, you're going to burn out. Those phrases, burn out, exhaustion, all of these things come out from those fiery energies.
Mhm.
And so, whilst you might put a lovely fiery rug on the floor, you definitely don't want to be painting your walls that deep color in a room that you're in regularly. Um, we also find that if we go too much towards the darker browns, for example, you can feel quite stuck in your ways.
Yes.
Same with the greens. If you go with a dark green, the color of a very strong, mature tree, you might find that it's very difficult to bend. You don't have the flexibility that in the modern world we really need. But if you go with the paler greens, the greens of new growth on trees and in vines and so on, then you've got that bit more flexibility. So those are those colors, and then you've got the metallics. Now, for the 20 years that finished in 2024, so 2004 to 2024, every home needed a lot of metal energy.
Why is
What?
that?
Well, it's one of the things that goes with these cycles and everything with feng shui.
Mhm. Mhm.
But let's think about what fashion did in terms of home design in those 20 years. Everything went grey or white.
It sure did.
It
It
really, really did.
really did.
It was grim, really grim, because if you don't have loads of natural light coming into a house, then painting it grey is so depressing.
It is.
And what's more, too much of that metal energy can induce anxiety and depression. So what we saw an awful lot of in that cycle, that 20-year cycle, was depression shot through the roof. And all of these
Yes.
influencers who were busy painting their homes grey and silver with golden accents, then the next thing you know, they're talking about their anxiety, their panic attacks, their this, their
Right.
that, the other. And as a feng shui specialist, I'm looking at them thinking, change the color of your home. You've done this
And
to yourself.
indeed, indeed. I have a
So
friend
yeah.
who is an interior designer, and I go with her to assist her. I go with her to the market twice a year in North Carolina, and she needs help getting around. I tell you, so many years, if she kept complaining, gray, gray,
Mm,
gray. The color of the year is gray, and you're right. You are exactly right,
yeah. So
and
when
it's
we're
no longer
doing
gray.
when we're doing the
Mm.
feng shui of a home, and this is if we're going to do the whole feng shui. So, and as I said, each home is unique. So, a feng shui report goes into the precise remedies you need in each of those 9 areas of your home that relate to these key parts of your life. Then, if, for example, you need a metal remedy in one area, I'm going to be saying to you, let's put some metal coloured accents there,
Mhm.
but let's not go overboard. If
Mhm.
you need fire, I'll want you to put just enough fire, but not so much that you're exhausted, or that tempers flare. You get all of this niggliness with one another.
Mhm.
If you need water energy is actually done with moving water. So, but I
So
might
like
say
a
to you,
pond or a
well,
waterfall, water
water,
feature.
water feature, I just use a vase with a pump in it. It's so much easier.
Hmm.
I don't like those water features that trickle,
Right.
because I'm a lady of a certain age, you know?
Yes, yes, and there might be a physical response to that.
Precisely, precisely.
Yes.
So So yeah, we use color in feng shui. We use these natural elements, the water, the wood. Wood is literally living house plants. That's as
Mm,
difficult as it gets. Earth energy. We use stones,
mm,
crystals, whatever people happen to have around. Fire. We use color. You might just put a throw in this kind of color, or a picture on the wall,
yes.
something like that. Water, as I've said, we use moving water, but I tend to put it in a vase. And then with the metal remedies, we do need to use actual metal.
Yes.
And the bigger the house, the more the metal. But
Chandeliers, right?
well, no, because they're actually attached. So we I
Oh,
I actually use weight plates for it, because it's easiest to just stash them away and hide them. And there's always somebody who's giving away some weight plates somewhere,
because they're not using the weight
because
plates
they're not
anymore. Is
using
that
them.
right?
So
Yes.
we can put them behind furniture, or behind doors, or in a basket. To my mind, if you can walk into a house and not notice a single feng shui remedy unless you're looking for it, that's great, because what you will feel is you'll walk in and think, this feels amazing.
Amazing.
But you won't
So
know
we
why. It'll
mhm,
just feel good.
you just feel it.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I really do. I'm a fairly practical person, so when I hear some of these things, I think, "Oh, really, really?" But I think you're right. We had a house that had a big window in the front. There weren't many windows in the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Big window, and the sun came in, and it was too much fire, right?
Yeah.
It just came right in, and it went through the house all the way to the back, and there was a big window in the back,
And so you've got
and
energy racing straight through the house.
straight through the house.
Yeah.
And so I think the remedy was to hang a crystal
Mm-hmm.
part way along the way, and and we eventually planted a tree right
Yeah.
in front of the window. Actually, the landscaper said, and I had no idea if she had any feng shui training at all, but when the landscaper came, she said, "We need a tree right here." My husband teased me all the time about that tree in the front of the house. Who has a tree in front of their picture window? I don't know, but we did. And that worked, and it really was lovely.
It would have made a world of
Felt right.
difference. Yeah.
Yes. So one thing you and I talked about is, the whole there's a whole kind of experience we're having across the world is that the boomers are now somewhat having to move out of their homes, especially the older boomers,
Mm-hmm.
and families are trying to move them into different accommodations, maybe assisted living,
Yeah.
maybe memory care. And I know i- um, you go from a 9-room house or whatever to a room possibly, or a room and a
Mm-hmm.
half
Oh, two. Yeah.
or two. What is really critical or important to think about on behalf of that person that you're shifting out of maybe a very pretty space to a very limited space?
Mm. Well, I think the first thing to think about is what the person's lifestyle requires.
Mm.
So, if you're a person like me, I need a view. I need to be able to see. So, even if I can't get out and about anymore, I want the bigger picture. I want to be able to see a big sky, trees, maybe,
Mhm,
something like that. But for other people, for some of the people I know, all they're interested in is getting up and watching TV.
mhm.
They don't care about a view. So start thinking that way first. Think
What's
about the
important? What's
person,
important?
what
Right.
what matters to them, and then move them only with things that they love. Don't
Mm.
try and decant the whole of that 9-room house into those 2 rooms and line up pieces of furniture along the walls, and as many rugs as you can on the floor, because those are all trip hazards. People are going to fall against them. Really think about what actually matters, what makes them feel good, what they care about. They're going into memory care and they have photo albums. Make sure to take those photo albums as long as they contain the good
Mhm.
memories.
Good.
Because what I found, certainly with relatives who've had dementia, is they didn't remember who I was now, but I could sit beside them with a cup of tea and a photo album, and they could tell me absolutely everybody in that photo album. And when they came to a picture of me, it will be, "Oh, that's Suzanne. Yes, well, I'm Suzanne. Oh, you're Suzanne." So
Mhm.
those photo albums can become like gold dust, really. And the thing is that where millennials won't have those, their photos are on the phone.
That's right.
Our boomers do. Our boomers still have those things. So
Yeah.
take those precious photographs, take the comfortable chair, the the bedding that they love. If they've got a beautiful quilt that's been with them forever and they love it, take that quilt. But then don't be afraid to pass on, maybe to other family members or to Goodwill or to somebody else who can use it, those other pieces of furniture which are now surplus,
Yes.
because there is seriously no point in trying to cram a whole life into 2 small rooms. It
Mhm.
just makes people miserable for what they've lost.
The other
And
thing I've seen is children of older parents taking all those things into their houses,
oh, don't
garages and
do that.
basements, and
Mhm.
because they think, "Oh, that's so important. That was so important." And now you have a house cluttered. We discussed cluttering last time, right?
Yeah, yeah. And, what mattered to your parents probably has no relevance to you
Mhm.
whatsoever.
Yes.
My mum has so many Royal Dalton ladies' figures in beautiful dresses. Fantastic. She thinks they're great. I wouldn't give one house room.
Yes.
I mean, they cost my dad a lot of
Oh,
money to buy,
yes. Yes.
but they don't matter to me. They don't now have a resale value. I mean, probably, you could get one for $10 now.
That's right.
And so why would I give those things house room when they mean nothing
Mhm.
whatsoever to me?
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's the important thing to remember. You are under no obligation to take in orphan stuff from your parents' home just because they owned it or they worked for it,
It
or
meant something to them.
yeah,
Yes.
that
Exactly.
particularly ugly sideboard in teak that mum and dad slaved for months to buy from the Urkel catalogue.
Mhm.
It's never ever going to work in your home.
Mhm.
So just let it go.
Mhm.
Don't Please don't
Yep.
ever feel the obligation to fill your attic or your basement or anywhere else with things that theoretically you've inherited, because they also carry energy with them.
Yes.
And if your parents have had a tough time, the energy of that tough time comes on in with those pieces of furniture.
Yes.
And you might find that you start bickering or struggling in some way that mirrors what your parents went through all that time ago.
Hmm. You've given me a lot to think about, a whole lot to think about. And I'm heading down to another furniture market with my friends. So that'll be a really, really interesting experience now with kind of new lenses on
Yeah. Just
for
don't let her
function.
buy any mirrors, or if she does buy mirrors, then knock the original mirror out and replace it with fresh glass.
Really?
You never know what a mirror has seen. I have a lovely, lovely client in Ohio, and I first worked with her 8 years ago, something like that. And she had this mirror in her room. And just when we were doing this video walk around of her place, she said, "There's
Mhm.
something really off about that mirror. Where did you get it?" And she said, oh,
Mhm.
she bought it in a yard sale. I said, well, do you know anything about the people there? And she said, oh, yes, a lady had committed suicide. And it was just like,
Wow.
okay, you've bought the mirror of somebody who clearly was having really
Right.
challenging problems,
Critical
and
situation. Mhm, yes.
you brought that into your home. So you can imagine it went
Fascinating.
straight. Like, we didn't even get halfway through the call. She put the phone down. She took it outside to the street, and then she came
Oh,
back in and
yes.
the
I
call.
have one in the garage right now, and as soon as you said that, I thought, "Hmm."
Yeah,
Yes,
what's it
yeah.
seen?
Yes, it
It's
was seen.
yeah, mirrors. You just never know what they've seen.
Suzanne, it has been, again, just fascinating. We've talked an hour, almost an hour, Suzanne, and these podcasts go about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. We've covered so much, and I feel really good about our conversation because in real estate, the lack of housing is forcing people to buy properties that are less than ideal for them,
Mhm.
that come with the various qualities that you were describing as you began
Yeah.
talking, right?
And
But
they're
the
all
the
fixable, Mary. That's the
all
wonderful thing.
fixable.
They're all fixable when you actually make the effort to get the energy right.
I believe you. I really I am now an enthusiast. I love it. I love it, Suzanne. So, Suzanne, come to the States soon, and
Oh,
I'm
I
gonna
hope
call you. I'm
to.
gonna follow up. I'm gonna consult with you for sure. And and I just thank you one more time for your generosity. And please look at Suzanne on the internet and friend her and follow her and thank you. I can understand why you're an internationally recognized expert. Thank you so very
Mary, you're
much.
abundantly welcome. And, anybody is welcome to book one of those calls and have me in their home for half an hour on video.
Indeed. I'm going to make care of that happen. Thank you again, Suzanne. And I know we'll see you again at some point.
Take care,
Thanks.
Mary. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you found this conversation useful to you and your real estate goals. You'll find the contact information for our guests and any links they recommend you have in the show notes. And should we be able to help you identify some strong real estate professionals in your area, drop us a note at info@realestateconnectionspodcast.com. Thanks again, and bye for now.